know that Miss Robbie was probably not around much, but I don't really know what years she wasn't around because we know even though he may have had family that was caring for him while his mom was working, right? Because that's what his mom had to do. His mom had to work, you know what I mean, to take care of him. We don't know what his upbringing was like where he was in not having his mom because that's important when you I mean he probably maybe knew where his mom was, but that doesn't negate the fact that he wanted to be or spend time with his mom and dad for that matter. So, where was his dad during the time, before he was getting into trouble, right? Or I believe his aunt was raising him and things like that. And I think she had kids of her own. So, it probably was difficult for her too if he was getting into trouble, her trying to rein that in. She may not have known how to. And then mom and dad wasn't around. So it was probably difficult for her. And probably hard for him not to have his mom around, let alone, not his dad. Both of your parents are not around, you know what I mean? And for a child, it's hard to understand that your parent is working. They don't care that you're working. They don't. Prime example, when COVID started, I had to work from home. And don't get me wrong, working from home is a blessing. But when the schools are closed, when the daycares are closed, your kid don't care that you gotta work. They're gonna knock on the door, your office door. They're gonna bust in. They wanna spend time with their parents. So it don't matter if he was being fed, if he had a place to stay, if he was with his auntie and cousins having fun. He still probably longed for his mama, right? So that could have been, and again, this is all my opinion, that could have been a trigger to him getting into some trouble. Now, it may have started off as mild trouble, right? Because, for kids, some negative attention is better than no attention, right? And so, shoot, some kids they so quick with it, and their thinking is so on point that they'll get in trouble, like get arrested stuff like that, just so the mama can come back. Just so the mom can say, hey, I'm on the road, but I gotta go and see about my son, right? So then they have manipulated to the point where the mom has come back, but that's what they want. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that it's right, but it or wrong or whatever, but this is sometimes what happens. And so I don't know if he got into trouble before then, if he robbed allegedly, if he beat allegedly somebody for I think I heard it was for a radio or something like that. Um, I would imagine he probably got in trouble before then. He was probably into some trouble before then. Because I don't see and it could happen, but I don't see a 17-year-old just now again. It could happen, right? Going out and just making to say, oh, I'm gonna rob or beat somebody without having some type of sign or something before then that he wasn't in a good place. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing we know. But that alone, those two things alone tells me a lot, right? Your mom wasn't around. What does it tell me? You felt abandoned. That's one thing. You felt like nobody was there for you. Now again, you with your family, but you're not with your mom or your dad. People got to realize, especially our people, we got to realize that it means a lot to have your mom and your dad. You know, you could be, raised by your auntie, you had millions of dollars. You want your mama and you want your daddy. We got to realize that it makes a big difference, right? So you felt abandoned, you felt lonely, right? Because then you seen your cousin with their mom. And that's not the same type of relationship, you know. That's just, it's not a good comparison probably, but it could sometimes, when parents have to work, say for instance your parents working third shift or something, you gotta stay at your auntie house because with your cousins or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You at some you might have fun for a little bit, but then you ready to go home. You wanna go home. You know what I'm saying? So and home is where your mom is, where your dad is. So, those two things he could have been dealing with. I don't know what school he went to in St. Louis. That's the third thing because you got a mixture of schools in St. Louis. Now, people got to realize too that St. Louis is big but small. Pretty much everybody know somebody from somebody's family when you really start sitting down and talking to them. You know, you pretty much know who's who. Um, so and if, it's crazy because if you're from St. Louis and you and you meet somebody else from St. Louis, they gonna ask the first thing people ask you is like what school you went to. Why that be the first thing we ask? Why is that? Like what difference is it gonna make what school I went to? But that's just how we are in St. Louis. Okay, so you can I don't know what school you went to, you know, and apparently I don't know if he made it to high school or if he dropped out before then or he did a couple years in high school and then he dropped out because I don't think he got his high school diploma. I don't think he graduated. So, I mean, he was 17 when he went to prison, so he might have been enrolled in school. Maybe he wasn't going, but that tells you that he was getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? He's probably getting in trouble. Probably wasn't going to school, skipping class or whatever. And again, kids do that stuff, but mo, hmm, you you got to know when you got to get back on. When you got to handle your business. Like you might lollygag or whatever, but you got to go to school. You got to finish school. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know. Again, the bottom line is that something had to be going on with him before that happened, right? Okay. So abandonment, feeling lonely, right? Probably having issues with school. And again, depends on what school he went to. The fourth thing is that I would like to know, what kind of outlet did he have? Was he involved in sports? Um, a lot of times the kids are involved in sports, that keeps them away from things that are happening from the streets, basically, getting into trouble and things like that. But I haven't heard, if he was involved in anything or he had coaches or, things like that. But for me, I think the biggest thing is that because his mom was not there, probably is what kind of set this whole thing off. Of him, just not caring, right? Because it's kind of like nobody else cares, so I'm not gonna care either. Like my mom don't even care enough to be here with me. And I'm not saying that his mom did not care because the mama gotta work, but kids just they don't think in that way, right? And then too, who knows? The mama could have been there. The mama could have been coming back every week. We don't know. Miss Bobby could have been coming back, visiting him every week, getting ready for school. We don't know. I haven't heard any of that information. So, and you know, it's difficult to speak in this way, right? Because you could talk about all that, and it could be the opposite. Miss Robbie was doing everything that she could do to raise him. She was coming back every week. She was, doing all this, and then he still turned out this way. I mean, what can Miss Robbie do? So now I just thought about something. That's a good point because if she was doing all of that, all the things they say you should do as a parent, right? Because we know ain't no book to it. If she was doing all of that and he still turned out this way, maybe this is why now Miss Robbie is overcompensating, right? She's trying to make up for what she feel like she maybe didn't do. Or because parents, we have, we say, oh man, I should have did this better. Or, oh, I should have put him in basketball instead of football. Oh, I should have put him in, he told me he wanted to be in band that time, but I didn't send him to that school that they had the band program. You put it on yourself as a mom, especially she was a single mom, so I can't imagine. Like she probably have a lot of guilt about what she did and did not do. And now, can you imagine at how old is Miss Robbie? 80 something years, she in her 80s, thinking about trying to figure out how to still be the perfect mom. That's a lot to hold on to. That's a lot to carry for a grown man. We got to realize as parents, really as black parents too, that when our sons get to a certain age, they got to make their own decisions, and we can't have no part of that. If you know that you did the best, you did the best that you could. You try to make the best decisions for your son. While he was in your care, try to steer him the right way, taught him right from wrong, things like that. And then now he do this. You ain't got nothing to do with that. You can't carry that, especially in your 80s. What time? Come on now. He got to take full responsibility and accountability for what he has done all of his life. Because again, no matter if the mom was working, the mom was working. That don't mean that you're supposed to act out. I mean, as a child, you got to get to a point, where you understand it. Kids don't really understand it, but as an adult, right? It's kind of like back to all the things we naming, right? Now you went to prison at 17. Now you out at what? He was there for 10 years. You're 27, 28 years old. You out. Oh, mama, since you wasn't there for me, now he entitled to get something when I get home. You gonna give me those restaurants. You gonna give me everything that you weren't able to give me when I was a kid. Everything I wanted. All the times I longed for you. All the times I wanted to be near my mama. All the times I wanted to come to California with you or wherever you were. You didn't come get me and this, and this. You gonna make up for it. Now I'm gonna make it. It's almost like not that he intended to do it, but in here, right? I'm gonna make you pay. So you gonna let me open 50 restaurants if I want to. You gonna do it.